Okay, good evening and welcome to Shulchan Aruch Yomi. Today we're learning Siman Ches, Hilchos Tzitzis. We transferred from Tilos Yadayim and Hagas HaBoker to the halachas of wearing your tzitzis. Start with Sif Aleph, Yisati, Tzitzis, Yivarach Mu'umad. Shulchan Aruch says you're supposed to wrap yourself in tzitzis and make the bracha standing up. Poskim learn from Sfiras HaOmer, which is the mitzvah Sayom now that we're doing it. You're supposed to stand to the Bekama, Kuma, you're supposed to stand, so it seems to be Xera Shava, Lachem. I don't know if this is in the Gemara or not. So therefore, just like by Sfiras HaOmer, also by Tzitzis, when you make the brach, you're supposed to be standing up. The Mishnah Berurah says you should do it right after Tilas Yadayim, so you shouldn't walk Dalet Amos without wearing tzitzis. Again, the mitzvah of tzitzis, just to be clear, is a chiyuv. When you're wearing a four-cornered garment, you have to wear tzitzis on them. There is no actual mitzvah to wear a four-cornered garment in order to mechayiv yourself in tzitzis. The minhag ha'olam is to wear tzitzis, to make yourself mechuyev in tzitzis by wearing a four-cornered bag. That's usually most of our clothes don't come in four corners. We wear a four-cornered garment in order to mechayiv ourselves in tzitzis. Then you have to put on tzitzis. So we do that. So really the whole mitzvah of wearing tzitzis is amidas chasidus. It's not mechuyev. There's no chiyuv to wear tzitzis, but the minhag ha'olam is to do that. It's to mechayev yourself in tzitzis. That is the minhag. And Mishnah Berurah says you shouldn't even walk Dalet Amos. You should do it right after Tilas Yadayim in the morning. You shouldn't walk Dalet Amos without tzitzis, so you can mechayev mitzvah of tzitzis. Let's go to halacha beis. Seder atifasok derech b'nei adam shemischas mechsusam oskim malachtam. Pamim bekisa harosh, pamim begila harosh. How do you put on your talis? Shulchan Aruch right here is talking about your talis gadol. For married men, they wear talis gadol. Sometimes they cover their head. Sometimes they don't cover their head. V'nachon sheichas harosh b'talis. Mr. Berurah writes it's proper that you should cover your head in the talis. Now, this is based on the Gemara, Torah in the Beis Yosef. They talk about smachlokas and moed katan between Rav and Shmuel. Shmuel holds that atifa and atifa. Right, the nusach of the bracha is Asher Kedushanim Tzavasenu Lisatif B'Tzitzis. It's based on a Tosefta, which says that. That's the makor for it. It's not a Gemara, it's Tosefta that says that's the nusach of the bracha. And based on that, Beis Yosef says that Shmuel says the Gemara Moed Katan when it comes to Hilchos Avelos. He says that atifa and atifa el katifas Yishmaelim. The real atifa, the real wrapping yourself, is a headscarf like the Yishmaelim. They have the kafiyas, they wrap around that black rope around. They have the headscarf draping down over their shoulders. That's the real head covering. The halacha, I think the Magen Avraham, one of the poskim, says that we pass like Rav and Shmuel. We pass like Rav in Isurim, not like Shmuel. So Rav doesn't say it has to be like Tivas Yishmael. So therefore, Minadin, you don't have to actually cover your head. The minhag ha'olam now is when you put on your talis gadol in the morning, married men, they do when they say the bracha, they wrap it around their head first, and then they put it on their body. The Shulchan Aruch does say it's a good idea to do it to cover your head, because then you're mekayim Shmuel also. Even the minadin, we pass like Rav. A lot of people have the minhag now to wear it during davening, at least when davening when you're wearing it. Maybe Birchas Kriya Shema, more people do it, and certainly by Shemona Esrei, the minhag olam, a lot of people is to wrap your head in a talis. Mekar din, you don't have to. Yotze with wearing a talis around your shoulders, not around your head. Halacha Gimel, talitos ketanim shalanu shanu nogim lilbo shal pi she'en behem yituf yosem hem midei chavas tzitzis. Based on the previous halacha, we see that there's a minhag nowadays. Everyone, even before they're married, people wear talis. Some people when they're 3 years old, some people when they become bar mitzvah. The mitzvah for boys to wear a talis katan, which the minhag is not to wrap yourself when you put it on. And we're going to see it's a different bracha you make. You are yotzei yachiv tzitzis based on the previous halacha that. Well, there's 2 points. First of all, like we pass like Rav, you don't have to misatif like the Yishmaelim. And second of all, there's a different bracha we're going to find out. They're machadesh new bracha, not the Gemara, but al mitzvah tzitzis, which doesn't include the word ituk. So therefore, even just wearing it around your body would be okay. Rachbo l'komaso l'satif babi amakach mu'utaf l'fachot k'dei hilov dalad amos l'achach kim shachenu ma'al rosha v'al mishenu. The Shulchan Aruch, based on the fact that really the makor of mitzvah sittis is only find one bracha in Chazal about l'satif b'sittis. Al mitzvah sittis is really made up; it's not real bracha. The problem with the bracha on mitzvah sittis is that the word al usually connotes l'sha'avar. Where in Psachim and Daf Zayin says al goes on something that happened in the past, and we know that mitzvahs you're supposed to do over l'asiyasa, and it doesn't make sense to make al regarding mitzvah sittis. Therefore, he says, based on the fact that Shmuel does have an opinion that you're supposed to do ativos yishpel, you're supposed to wrap it around your head, at least when you put it on. It's a chumrah. I've seen some people do this. Some people actually, when they put on tzitzis in the morning, and I saw as in yeshiva, some bachram actually had the minhag to wrap their heads. What you do is you hold it the width-wise on each side and put it around your head, wrap it around in order to mekayim, that even by kalas katan you should do atifa. I did do that myself maybe a couple of years, but I'm not going because most people don't do that. Halacha daled machzir shtei sitzios lefanu v'shtayim la'acharav k'dei shemusov v'mitzvos. This is based on a medrash. It says by Kriyas Yamsov. So you should have two tzitzis in front of you and two in back of you. Technically, you don't have to wear the tzitzis in front of you and back of you. Midrash has a good idea. Hey, the Orach l'satev b'tzitzis. That's the nusach of the bracha. Let's say one talis, they make talisim pretty big, so 2 or 3 people want to wrap themselves in the same talis. Each one makes a bracha, because the bracha is not on the talis, the bracha is on the gabra. Each person is mechuyev to put on tzitzis on a 4-cornered beged. Other people could answer amen and be yotzi with his bracha as long as you have das and machavein. He has das to motzi them, and they have das to be yotzi with his bracha. Halacha vav al talis katan yachal varach l'satev av b'she'enam l'satev el lovsho. Like we saw before, the talis katan, you don't have to, you don't make the bracha. You could make the bracha l'satev. The reasoning based on the reasoning. First of all, we don't find a bracha al mitzvah tzitzis, and second of all, l'satev doesn't necessarily mean ituf yishmaelim. Even if it does mean ituf yishmaelim, this could also be included as a type of like Rab. It could be a type of ituf. We don't pass. It's basically the Shulchan said we don't pass like Shmuel. So the talis katan, you could. The hagiyesham shavarchan alav al mitzvah tzitzis. Some say, the Ramah says, this is what we do. You say in the talis katan mitzvah tzitzis v'chein nogin ve'en l'shanos. This is the minhag of the Ashkenazim, is to say, first in the morning you put on the talis katan, you say mitzvah tzitzis. When you come to shul for davening, you make the bracha l'satev tzitzis on the talis gadol. Zayin sarach lahafred chutei tzitzis zemizeh. There's a halacha that you're supposed to separate the tzitzis. The tzitzis are not supposed to be stuck together. This is learned out of the fact that the word tzitzis really is derived from tzitzei roshi, the threads of hair that a person has. Hashem grabs someone tzitzei roshi, said by Yechezkel. So therefore, just as your hairs are separated, so therefore the tzitzis also should be separated. I believe the Beis Yosef says this is pashut. It doesn't really explain further that you have to have the specific kavana. Normally, all you have to have kavana by mitzvah is to be yotze the mitzvah, not that you have to have kavana. You should remember all the mitzvahs. It does say in the pasuk, in the last parsha of Kriyas Shema, we say every day. Risam also is zachartem, it's called mitzvahs Hashem. You just look at them and you'll remember all of them, but it doesn't say that you have to mechaven when you put it on for. Ted kodem shivarach yayin mechutei atzitzis imhem ksherim k'dei shalivarach levatala. Shulchan Aruch says, interesting halacha. Some people are medactic in this, some people are not. Some medactic in this. You're supposed to look at your tzitzis before you put them on in the morning, both talis katan and the talis gadol. Because if you find out that one of your tzitzis got ripped, now one of the strings getting ripped is not possible your tzitzis, but if one of the corners gets ripped off and knocked off, or a whole string, meaning each string is doubled, so therefore you have 4 that are doubled. If one and one, meaning both part of that 2 are not there, then you were mevatel the mitzvah tzitzis. So you're making a bracha levatala when you're not mekayim mitzvah tzitzis. So you should check it. I believe this is not la'akiv. Because there's a chazaka, we assume, just like your sisters were kosher when you bought them, or when you checked them yesterday, we assume they're still kosher today, but it's still a good midas chasidus. Shulchan Aruch is mashma to check them every morning. If you put on your talis katan, and you wake up in the morning, right? And you can't get to Nagel Wasser quickly enough. You forgot to put Nagel Wasser by your bed, or you're not able to get water to clean your hands. So, like he said before, you're not supposed to walk Dalet Amos. You're supposed to be, the minig is not even walk Dalet Amos without tzitzis. So therefore, your hands are not clean. According to the Rush, you touched a daim askani the same at night. They touched something unclean on your body. So therefore, you should put it on. You'll be below bracha. You put on the talis katan. You put it on without making bracha. When you do put on your tzitzis, you feel your tzitzis, you touch them, remove them a little bit. Alternatively, another way, if you're wearing a talis gadol, you're married, you're going to the Beis HaKnesses, so then when you put on your talis gadol, you have kavanah to be yotzei, to pater also talis katan. If you're not in this situation, what you can do is you can mashmish, you can feel, this is learned of halacha by tefillin. By tefillin it says that if tefillin move off the right place on your arm, it's supposed to be on your bicep. If it moves off the bicep, so then you can go ahead and feel it again, basically put it back in place. So based on that halacha by hilchos tefillin, we learn that by tzitzis also is considered a new mitzvah. If you're moving it, it's a little hard to understand the direct correlation, because by tefillin it fell off its place. That's the halacha. You're putting it back on its place. You weren't mekayim the mitzvah when it wasn't in the place. Here, when you're wearing the tzitzis, you're always being mekayim the mitzvah. So how does being mashmesh the tzitzis help you to make a new bracha? Questionable, hard to understand. Yud Aleph, Iker mitzvahs talis katan love show al begadov. The main mitzvah of talis katan is to wear it on top of your clothes. Basically, the Shulchan Aruch is saying over here, the minig should be like the Hasidim. He's saying actually not just the tzitzis should be outside, but also the actual talis should be outside. A lot of Hasidim have the minig to wear their tzitzis on top of their shirt. Maybe they wear their rekel, their jacket on top of that. But the point is here, the Shulchan Aruch is clear that you should wear the talis katan, not just the tzitzis. Love shal begadov. Mishabura says we're not knowing like that. The ksavim, he brings the ksavim. Isa talis katan pachas begadov. The ksavim, I guess the Zohar. He brings the Shulchan Aruch has the Magen Avram says, interesting to read. The tzitzis have to be outside. And you can't tuck it in. If you're among goyim, right, where it's embarrassing to walk with your tzitzis out, it'll be noticeable or it'll be a danger to you, then you should at least have them out Dalet Amos. When you make the bracha, you should get out Dalet Amos. And then he says, he says, and the post can explain it, it's dafka, when you tuck it in, it's tucking it into your pocket. I mean, it's a little bit outside, you just tuck them into your pocket. But to tuck them completely into your shirt, that, the Lashon the Mishabura says, Lo daishim al limin einayim imay dechsi risimo. So they forget about the pasuk or isimo. So this is what this halacha is based on. It's based on a pasuk. It's in Kriya Shema. It says or isimo. So you have to see it. It's a chartem. Om vazinei mitzvahs Hashem is barach v'asidin hen lizianes adinol zeh. They are disgracing the mitzvah of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and they're going to have to give judgment upon this for putting their sisters in, because they're neglecting. This is not exactly a Gemara. It's based on the pasuk says or isem. Also, the Magen Avram brings from a Gemara in Menachos on Daf Mem Aleph that you have to be the tzitzis have to be take them out. If you look in Rashi, he doesn't say like the Magen Avram. He says it has to be the tzitzis can't be touching in the corner. If you look at your tzitzis, the actual knot of the tzitzis is not touching the actual talis. It's detached. I mean, it's knotted around it, but it's not touching the beged. So the Magen Avram would not be according to Rashi. So really, we're left with the Gra does talk about this Gra, and the Vera Gra gives different makoros. And Ian Shulchan Aruch, we're going to get more into what the Mishabura is saying here, what the Gra brings a raya for this. Is there proof to this? What is the real basis for this halacha? And is it a true basis? I mean, is what they're saying exactly correct, that you have to keep your tzitzis outside? A lot of Klal Yisrael tuck their tzitzis in. Haredi minhag is to take your tzitzis out. I think Sfardim actually tuck it in. Very controversial minhag in Klal Yisrael. We're going to try to get to the bottom of that. Ian Shulchan Aruch up next. You don't want to miss it. Yud Beis. If you have a lot of begadim shel arba kanfos, is not normal. We don't have a lot of four-corner garments. If you do, kulam chayavim b'tzitzis. Let's say like your Rav Scheinberg, you wore a lot of things. They're all chayav in tzitzis. Don't think Rav Scheinberg didn't wear tzitzis on the other ones. He did. Bimlav sham kulam below hefsek vayadaitom mitchila al kulam. I guess Rosh Hashanah we do in the morning, right? If you wore them without a hefsek and your das was to put all of them on lo yivarach al baracha achas, you pater them, just like other halachas by shchita. The Gemara talks about if you plan to shech a lot of animals, so one bracha suffices for all of them. Mafsik beinayim, like do a hefsek, you talked in between putting them on. Sarach levarich al kol achas va'achas, then it ruins that bracha, and you have to make a new bracha on each one. Alternatively, if when you put the first one on, you didn't plan on putting a second one on, it's like having a hefsek, you have to make a new bracha. Let's say you did have in mind to include all of them, but then by the time you put on the second one, you're already taking off the first. You have to go make a bracha again on the second one. Because it's the levisha, it's not the bracha which is pater as the second one, it's the levisha, the fact that the bracha goes on that levisha, and that levisha, it's a lumdus over here, the levisha itself goes ahead and paters the rest of the levishos, the rest of the wearings. Yod Gimel, lovish talis katan mevarach alav, k'sholach beis hakneses mitatev b'talis gadol, sarach levarach alav. This is the minhag nowadays. People are married men, Ashkenazim, they wear talis katan when they wake up in the morning, and when you go to shul, you make another bracha. You have to make that bracha. The halicha basically beis hakneses chashiva hefsek. Why should you make a bracha? We should say that bracha mitzvah tzitzis, paters litatev tzitzis. So the halacha is that the Shulchan Aruch paskins walking to the shul. Right? Most people don't daven in their houses. It's a hefsek, and therefore you have to make a bracha of mispal b'sal beis. So let's say you daven in your house is a shul. Based on that, if you're davening in your house, you have a shul in your house, a shtibel in your house, you wouldn't have to make a new bracha. Your al mitzvah sitzis would pater that. The problem with this is that the fact that the al mitzvah is not a real bracha. Really the brachas is not that that really would be the source, I think, why you have to make a new bracha on the talis gadol, because the main bracha, you can say lisate paters al mitzvah, but al mitzvah shouldn't be able to pater lisate gadalad pasha taliso. If you took off your talis, I feel like you to lachzor lisate bo miyad, even if you had in mind to go and put it back right away. Even if when you took it off, you planned on putting it back in a second. Right? You took it off, it wasn't on straight or whatever. You have to make a new bracha. The Ramah says, but he argues on that. So maybe you don't have to make a new bracha. We may have a pshara la halacha that if you have your talis katan, somebody didn't take off your talis katan, which is underneath your shirt. Most people wear it underneath their shirt. So as long as you have that on, even if your talis gadol took off, you would not make another bracha because it's like you're still wearing tzitzis. Ted vav im nafla taliso shalov miskavin. Let's say your talis fell off. You didn't take it off. It fell off, right? During davening, it slips off your shoulder. There, you have to make a new bracha because you didn't have in mind to wear it. It's like the tefillin that moved from the place. You put it back on. You have to. Hisha nafla kula. Shulchan says only if it entirely fell off. Avalim nafla kula, lo nafla kula. Avbisha nafla ruba in a sarach levarach. Most of it falls off. Now, obviously, if it's off your shoulders and it's just sticking to your back, it's not considered on. If a little bit is on your shoulders at all, so you don't have to make a bracha. It's not like it's still part of you. We don't say ruba kakulo. Ted zayin alan betaliso balayla sarach levarach alav aboker afim lo pashta. There's a halacha that's relevant to Shavuos night, right? If you go to sleep or you stay awake the whole night. The Shulchan Aruch paskins that you have to make a new bracha. The Tov L'Mashmash Rabbi Shah's bracha, he says it's better to be able to say all the shitas to mashmesh it, to feel them when you make a bracha. Same thing if you wear your talis before the day starts. This halacha is based on a famous machlokas in the Rosh and the Rambam. The Rosh and the Rambam have machlokas. The Gemara says that Laila is lav zman tzitzis. Charlie yoksat yoter shakit. Ksat yoter shakit. It's okay. They say that the machlokas, the Rambam and the Rosh, that tzitzis is not called. Laila is not called zman tzitzis. It's not a time for tzitzis. So what does that mean? Does it mean that during the time of night there's no chiyuv to wear tzitzis, or does it mean that begadim, that pajamas, things that you wear at night, they don't have, even if they're four-cornered, they're not obligated in tzitzis. So the nafkamina is over here when you didn't take off your tzitzis at night, right? So if you hold like the Rush that says that the Laila is not, the time is not the Rambam. I forgot who says which. It's Smells the Rambam and the Rush, but one of them says that it only paters pajamas, but these are not pajamas. These are things you wear during the day, so therefore you wouldn't be able to make a bracha. But according to the other opinion, that it's not as man tzitzis, therefore you get a hefsek, right? Lila, you're not mechuyev in tzitzis, so therefore it's a hefsek, and now there's a new chiyuv, so there's a reason to make a bracha. So that's what the Shulchan Aruch is basically saying, that really you should make a new bracha because night is not the time for wearing tzitzis. But the Shulchan Aruch adds it's a good idea to mashers to feel it because according to the other opinion, only pajamas are excluded. But if it's a beggar that you use for the day, it would still be obligated in the tzitzis. So there's no hefsek, and you would not supposed to make another bracha. Yud Zayin. You put on a four-cornered garment and you didn't put on tzitzis, you're mavatal the mitzvah of tzitzis. This is pretty a pashut. I mean, that's the mitzvah of tzitzis. Maybe the Shulchan Aruch is saying another chiddush over here. You're over on an Isser essay, not just that you didn't makayim mitzvah essay. You're over on an Isser essay. We'll get into that if you listen to my daf Yomi share. We've been talking about that recently. All right, wait or stick around for Ian Shulchan Aruch. We talk about the famous halacha, controversial halacha about tucking in your tzitzis. You have to. Should you not? We'll get into that. Don't want to miss it.